Good morning, friends, and welcome to our kitchen. This is Angela from Art of Creation Homestead. Today, the reason I say good morning is because this is morning for me. And also, we are making a breakfast bread pudding as part of our What to Do with All Those Eggs series. So, the reason I am starting it of the morning. Normally, if you are making this for breakfast, you will want to do this the night before and let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. But in this house, we have something that we absolutely love. And it's called breakfast for supper. We love us some breakfast for supper around here. It's one of our favorite things. So, I am making it early in the morning. Gonna put it in the refrigerator and bake it tonight for supper. And it warms up beautifully, has leftovers for the next morning. Oh, it's delicious. This is just beyond, blow your mind delicious. So, now let's get started. Please excuse my heat running. Even though it is spring, it has turned off a little chilly. So my heat's gonna run. It'll be okay. First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna start out with a 13 by 9 glass baking dish. And you're gonna spray it down really well because you don't want this to stick. Now, right here, we have 8 slices of Texas toast bread. For those of you who may not know what Texas toast bread is, it's a very thick, see, very thick cut sandwich bread. I'll show you the pack. See? It's a very thick cut sandwich bread. You can use any bread you want here, but this bread just really works really well. The thickness of the cut, the dryness of it, because it's kind of dry, it all just works really well here. So as you can see, I'm cutting it into strips about this long. Now I'm going to turn it the other way, and I'm going to cut them into cubes. About an inch or so cubes. See? Just about an inch or so. And there's 8 slices. In case I didn't mention that. Sometimes I talk and don't remember what I've said. You ever do that? So now, as we get this cut, go ahead and put it in your greased dish. Okay. So now we're going to continue cutting this. I will spare you the boring details. And it's no big deal. It's no big deal. I'll have it done like that. Okay. As you can see, that went very quick. And it's all done and in the pan. And see, it's okay to mash it down a little. Okay. Now, this next part is entirely up to you. These next parts are entirely up to you. My favorite breakfast meat to use in this is diced ham. See? Just regular old small diced ham. It's my favorite thing to use in it. That smokiness is just tremendous. If you don't have ham and you want to make this, but you have sausage, brown up a pound of sausage. If you don't have that, brown up some bacon. Crisp up some nice bacon. It'll go great in here. Any breakfast meat you have will go great in here. I'm sure if you're in the South, country ham would be to die for in this. I know it would be. But unfortunately, I'm not in the South right now, so I don't have any country ham. So we are using just regular old ham. If all you have in the house is deli ham, just cut it up and throw it in. I'm using about a pound. And I'm just sprinkling it on, just like it is. You don't have to saute it or anything, because this is going to bake. And it's going to bake for quite a while. So, we're going to throw in about a pound of ham cubes. Just throw it all over the top of your bread. It's kind of layered. You kind of want to layer it a little bit. So we're going to throw in all this ham. Isn't that beautiful? I am a ham freak. I love me some ham. And now this is entirely up to you. We are homesteaders here. We are food growers, so we love our veggies. So at this point, I'm gonna add some red bell peppers. That was from our garden from last year that we have frozen. Peppers are wonderful with it. Now you don't want to overkill with it. Maybe a half a cup. Just some to add a little flavor. If you don't like peppers with your eggs, although I gotta tell you, red peppers with eggs is phenomenal. To quote Pastor Bryant from the Farming Pastor's Wife, it's phenomenal. So, as you can see, I've put maybe about a half a cup. But I've also, if I've had kale, which I do have kale right now, but I wanted peppers today. If you have kale, saute up some kale. If you have some Swiss chard, saute up some Swiss chard. They're both great in here. They really are. But the peppers, I just love peppers with eggs. It's a match made in heaven. Especially red peppers. Okay, now, in our big measuring cup here, we have 7 large eggs. And the first thing we are going to do, we are going to poke those yolks with our whisk. That way, before we add anything to them, that way they'll break up easier and we can mix it better into our custard. And that's what we're making here. Essentially, we are making a savory custard. Into our beautiful farm fresh eggs here, 7 of them, we are going to add 2 cups of half and half. You can use regular milk. If you don't have half and half, you can use regular milk. It will not be as rich, but you can use half and half. You can use just regular milk. Okay, from there, we are going to add a generous bit of salt, probably about a good teaspoon to a teaspoon and a fourth. Depends on how much salt you like. Remember, the ham is salty, the cheese is salty that we're about to add, so don't go overboard, but you do want some salt in there. And a few good grinds of pepper. The more pepper you add, the better. Now, the next ingredient, you may think I'm a little crazy. You may think I've lost my noodle. But if you've watched me in the past, you know that I really haven't. I have a purpose for this. I'm not telling you to add a ton, just a little. We are adding, this will make all the difference between an okay breakfast bread pudding and a blow your mind bread pudding. Our ingredient is just regular yellow mustard. And it's not gonna, you're not gonna say, oh, this tastes like mustard. It's just a little something that adds a great flavor and goes with the ham and the cheese and everything so well. You're only adding about a teaspoon. About a teaspoon, that's it. Now you're gonna whisk all of this together. The reason I'm having you to do this right now is that way your salt has time to dissolve into your custard. You wanna whisk this together really nicely until it's all incorporated. For those of you who don't know this little trick, if you are using a whisk to whisk together something like this, sometimes it works so much better to put the whisk between your 2 hands and spin it like this. So, we are gonna set this aside. We are gonna pull our dish forward again. And to this, we are going to add about 8 ounces or 2 cups of shredded sharp cheddar cheese. As you can see, I'm using pre-shredded. Ain't no shame in my game. You can use pre-shredded, you can shred it yourself. It doesn't really make any difference here. In this dish, now in some dishes I will tell you, it makes a world of difference to shred it yourself. This dish, it doesn't really make much difference. The next element, I am adding shredded, not grated. If all you have is grated, then you can use grated. But I am using shredded Parmesan cheese. It adds such a great salty bite, and it goes so well with the ham. It goes so well with the ham. And we are adding about a half a cup of that. You don't want a ton of it because it is strong. But it adds such a great element to it. So now, our custard mixture has set aside, and it has had time for the salt to melt in and everything. Now you want to give it another little spin to make sure your mustard and everything is incorporated. You want to just pour this over. Pour it as evenly as you can. Make sure everybody gets some love here. Just pour it all in there. Make sure everybody, every piece of bread in there gets a little love. And now, what I like to do is I like to take my whisk, kind of push down a little bit on all the elements, because you can see it go down because the bread is soaking up all of that custard mixture. You can literally see it start to go down. But you want to kind of, I'm taking my whisk. You can even use your hands. If your hands are nice and clean, you can even use your hands to push down on it. But you want to push down on it. It will encourage the bread cubes to start soaking up all that goodness in that custard. Put a piece of foil over the top of it, down nice and tight, and you are going to put this in your refrigerator. If you are making this the night before for breakfast the next morning, you will just put it in there overnight. You will pull it out of the refrigerator about 20 minutes to a half an hour before you start preheating your oven, because you want your dish to not be so cold. You want it to come more to room temperature, because these dishes have a tendency, when you put them in a hot oven, they have a tendency to break. And you don't want that. So you want to bring it more to room temperature. Since I am making this of the morning and we're having it for breakfast for supper tonight, this is going to go in the refrigerator for about 8 hours. So it's about 8 hours or overnight. I've took it out of the refrigerator for about a half an hour, so like I told you, so that the dish can come more to room temperature, so that you don't risk it cracking or breaking when you put it in a hot oven. And I have preheated the oven to 350 degrees, and you want to bake it with the foil on it for about 45 minutes. Then you want to take the foil off and bake it for an additional 15 minutes with the foil off. And we'll show you what it looks like when it's done. As you can see, this beautiful piece of deliciousness is out of the oven now. Doesn't that look amazing? But you do not want to cut into it right now. If you tried to eat it right now, you would burn your pie hole. You want to leave it sit and rest for at least 10 minutes before you cut into it. So we'll be back and taste it when it's done.
Alright, so now I get the joy of tasting this. Okay. Just right before, before I put this in my mouth, Angela wanted me to let you know that for those of you who wanted the butterscotch pie and chocolate pie video, they're coming up, okay? Just stay tuned, stick with her, she's gonna do it. Coming up here soon, shortly, maybe next week, alright? So, she heard your cries, and she said, okay, I'll have to do it for you, and I'll suffer. And I'll be the one. I'll be there to taste it for you. Okay, but it's not about the pie right now. It's about this. So, all right.
And this smells wonderful.
It smells great. I'm looking at it. All right. Good, fantastic, delicious. Any kind of other superlative no one think of. It was great. And one thing is really good the next day too. Okay, this is also gonna be my breakfast tomorrow and possibly the next day. Alright, so it's fantastic. It makes a big old plate full of it. And it's really good use of extra eggs. We appreciate you guys watching. We appreciate you watching so much, and we really do appreciate hearing from you, seeing your comments. Well, so let us know what you think. Let us know if you're there watching. We love you guys. God bless you and goodbye.